All right, everyone, welcome back to Invest the Rest, where all of my strategies are aimed at getting all of my extra cash or any discretionary income that I can get my hands on, getting it into the market because more time in the market equals more money. As always with my videos, this is not financial advice and I am not a financial advisor, and these videos are for entertainment purposes only. Got a really quick update for you today on the option account, the $10,000 option account that I started January 2nd, 2025 with a balance of $10,000. We've completed January. I did a monthly wrap-up video last week. Now we're going to cover how did we do on the first week of February. Looking at the screen here, right? Obviously, in January, $759.27. Okay. Let me zoom in a little bit. And our goal was 600. Originally, our goal was 550, 600. Now I've raised it to 650 because we did so well in January with the option account. Currently in February, sitting at $889.26 overall, or down here on the totals page, totals table for the monthly totals, $129.99. Let's call it 130. So at $130 in February so far, week 5, the first, or I should say the 5th full trading week in 2025 is how I'm counting my weeks for all of these accounts. So we just finished up week 5, and I'm going to go down through the contracts that expired at the end of last week. I'm going to cover the new contracts for next week, and I'm also going to cover the contracts that I'm looking to open at the beginning of week 6, right? Because I didn't open everything I wanted to open the Friday of week 5, which, or, for those of you that are track it by the date, that would be February 7th, 2025. So, and again, please remember, right? Financial strategy, financial investing is really tailored to the individual. You have to do your own research. Make sure what you're investing in and the trades you're making, not only you understand them, but they're right for your financial journey. I'm experimenting with 3 different strategies, all started with $10,000. So check out my other videos. Maybe those strategies are closer to some of your own personal financial strategies. So week 4, we have here TSLL. We had a put contract, right? I sold a put contract on January 29th, 2025. It was a single contract. I was awarded 77 cents per share, or $76.33 after fees overall for selling that contract. Again, remember, for options trading, when you sell put contracts and you sell call contracts, all of that money is deposited into your account immediately. The strike price on this TSLL account was $20. TSLL, lucky for me, and I shouldn't say lucky, but because if I did get assigned, we would just open a call the following week. So it doesn't really matter, but it's easier when they expire worthless. Strike price of $20. TSLL closed last Friday, right around $21.13. So it wouldn't make sense for the buyer of the contract that I sold to force me to buy 100 shares at $20 when they can sell those same 100 shares on the open market at $21.13. So that contract expired worthless. And just for everybody watching here, right, the dark green, I just wanted to kind of divide the table up a little bit here for readability. The dark green are the contracts that would have expired or had an expiration date of last Friday, 2/7. Let's move on to MSTU. The next the next 3 contracts were MSTU. The first 2 here were both my call contracts that I opened on January 30th. Both 100 size quantity 100, a single option contract is always 100 shares. We got $54.33 and $29.33 for both of these contracts in premium, which is $83.66. These two call contracts were sold at the $11 strike price and the $12 strike price. And why did I sell them at those strike prices? Well, I got assigned up here in week 3 two groups or two sets, right? Two contracts of 100 shares each of MSTU at the $11 strike price and the $12 strike price. So I own those shares. I own 100 shares of MSTU in this account at $11 a piece, and I own 100 shares of MSTU in this account for $12 a piece. So down here, I open the call for the same strike price because I'm not really interested in getting into a capital gains, capital loss in this account. I'm looking to strategically harvest the option contract premium, which is in column I and column J. So again, unfortunately, in this situation, MSTU closed at $8.75 on 2/7. And so again, these contracts expired worthless. Because remember, for a call contract, which is the opposite of selling a put contract, this contract says that the buyer of my contract, or the buyer of both of these contracts, whoever they are, has the right to buy my 100 shares of MSTU, or my 200 shares of MSTU. 100 they can buy at 11, and 100 shares they can buy at $12. Well, MSTU is currently at $8.75. So if that buyer wants 200 shares of MSTU, they're obviously just going to go out on the open market and buy it at $8.75. So these two contracts also expired worthless for the buyer of those contracts. When a contract, whether it's a put contract or a call contract that is sold, expires worthless, I still retain the premium. Okay, I get to keep all of this premium, or if I look in this column, $160 in premium, and no action is taken, right? I'm in the same scenario I was at the end of week 3. Looking at the last MSTU contract that I did open at the beginning of week 5, which was last week, MSTU dipped a little bit at the beginning of the week, as did the entire stock market. I opened this on February 3rd, 2025. 35 cents a share, $34.33 in premium was awarded, and I opened it at a strike price of $7.50. Now, this was a put contract, not a call contract. So I sold a put contract. MSTU closed at $8.75 on 2/7/2025. And therefore, this contract also expired worthless because on a put contract, I'm saying I'm willing to buy at $7.50. I'm willing to buy 100 shares from the buyer of the contract that I sold, 100 shares of MSTU at $7.50. Well, MSTU closed at $8.75. The buyer is obviously not going to exercise their rights under the contract that I sold them. They're going to sell their 100 shares on the open market and get more money at $8.75 than they would if they exercised the contract and sold those 100 shares to me at $7.50. So again, that contract expired worthless. So all of the contracts that it had an expiration date of 2/7, all 4 of them expired worthless, which isn't a bad thing. Expiring worthless just means I get to sell the contract, keep the premium, and nothing happens. My account stays the same as it was before I sold these contracts. So between all 4 of those contracts, we harvested $194.32 of premium. Now, I track my monthly totals based on when I open the contract. So these first 3 opened in week 4 were added to the January totals. The reason I do it based on the date that I open the contract is because the date that I open or sell the contract is the date that that premium is deposited into my account. Okay, I don't track it by the expiration date because I've already had that money for an entire week when I open the contract. The 4th contract that expired worthless last week on 2/7, I did open on 2/3, and so that premium, that $34.33, was added to the February monthly totals. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make these the same color as the rest of the table. I just wanted to highlight those 4 that did in fact expire last Friday. Now, week 5, I did open 2 additional contracts, or sold. I call them open, but I sold 2 put contracts. You can see here, column D, 1 on TSLL and 1 on MSTU. I opened them later in the week, 2/6 and 2/7. The reason I opened these is because I had a good feeling of how these 4 were going to end up based on market movement. Okay, open 2 additional for week 5, expiring on 2/14, which is this coming Friday. Both of them expire on 2/14. The TSLL contract I sold for a strike price, right? Strike price again of $20, right? That is the same strike price that just expired the week prior. And I think there's a good amount of support, in my opinion, for TSLL at the $20 mark. I think it's been above $20 for a while now, and I think it'll stay there. And I'm okay if it drops below getting assigned 100 shares of TSLL at $20 a piece. So $20 strike price. What did I get for that? I got a whopping $56.33 in premium, again added to that February total. MSTU, very similar, single contract, 100 shares, 40 cents a share, or $39.33 after fees. And I did open it at a strike price of $8.50. I'm very comfortable, again, opening MSTU put contracts or selling MSTU put contracts at the $8.50, $8, $7.50, $7 mark. I think MSTU, it did dip this week. The whole market dipped. Monday, Tuesday was a little bit rough, and it took MSTU a while to recover. But once I saw my other put contract from the week before, this one right here that expired on 2/7 at $7.50, was in fact going to expire, I opened this $8.50 put contract for a little bit higher of a strike price, and that's only because of where MSTU was at the time that I sold the contract. Now, why did I open at $8.50? Why did I open TSL at 20? Why did I open them later in the week? One thing you do have to keep in mind is when you sell a put contract, depending on the option risk you have set up in your brokerage account, you do have to remain cognizant of how much money you have in your account. Again, that's why I have this $5,150. That's how much I've used of my 10 grand, right? The $2,300 that I own in MSTU from week 3, plus the $2,850 that I currently have outstanding for put contracts, right? And that's the $2,000 from this TSLL contract that I will have to pay to buy those shares if TSLL expires below the $20 mark, and then the $850 that I would have to pay for the MSTU contract. So when you're buying and selling week to week, you have to make sure you understand, if I were to get assigned 3 put contracts from week 4, the market jumped or had a quick dive depending on where I sold my puts. You want to be able to make sure that you can cover those sales or that buying action based on your put contract, while also covering the hypothetical money you'll need in the following week for the following week's put contracts. So you can't sell and buy, and depending on your account balance, whether it's $10,000, $5,000, or $2,000, you have to make sure that you fully close out the previous week's contracts, or are very confident where it's going to end before you open new contracts. Now you can play around with margin, you can play around with a higher risk level in options, but I'm playing it very conservative. I don't want to be at my account max, right? I don't want to use all of the money in my account. I want to have a little bit of wiggle room. That way, if a position moves not in my favor, I have enough money to cover it. One thing I did do is add this account balance tracker up here, right? Because month to month, it's not going to be a $10,000 limit. I'm almost at $11,000 with all the premium that's been deposited into my account. So as I'm trading, I could theoretically go up to $11,000, and then next couple months, maybe it's $12,000, 13,000. And you start to get that snowball effect where now I can trade larger contracts, I can trade more risky contracts, and I can trade more contracts as the account balance grows. So those are the two contracts that I opened in week 5. And those are contracts will close on 2/14 or expire on 2/14. Now, we're rolling in to week 6, okay? And what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you the trades that I'm considering on week 6. And the reason that I'm going to do that is because I did not open these trades as of yet, okay? Week 6 is 2/14 is a Friday of week 6, right? So these were opened in week 5. And again, this is how I track it. You can track it based on the expiration date, what week you included in. But again, I always go by the open date for both what week I put it in, okay, and what month in this column here, column E, what month it gets added to the monthly totals. So again, MSTU. So I have one put contract on TSLL. I have another put contract on MSTU. Depending on what MSTU does at the beginning of the week, if we open on Monday and we have another dip, I may look at opening MSTU, and I'm thinking right around the $6.50 strike. Okay, the previous put that I sold last week on MSTU is very close to the price of MSTU. Okay, $8.75. My put contract was open for a strike price of $8.50. So there's a good chance if MSTU doesn't have a good week or a week where it increases in value next week, that contract gets assigned, which I'm okay with. But if it continues to dip, I have the opportunity to sell another put contract at a much lower, actually I think the lowest strike to date in 2025, a much lower strike price for MSTU. I'm thinking around the 650 mark. I would look to open that contract, to sell that contract, and lower my cost basis. Even if both get assigned, the average of the $8.50 and $6.50 will drastically lower my cost basis right to $7.50. So I'll own 200 shares, but they won't be at $8.50. They won't be at some of the other strikes that I've opened previously. They'll be 100 at $8.50, 100 at $6.50, or 200 at $7.50. TSLL, kind of thinking the same thing there. If the market dips again on Monday, depending on what financial data is released, TSLL, I'm thinking around the $17 mark. I would sell another put contract on TSLL, and that would lower again if both of these TSLL contracts were assigned on 2/14, right? All 5 of these contracts have a 2/14 expiration date next Friday. If the $20 gets assigned and I'm able to harvest a good amount of premium for the $17 strike early in the week on TSLL, I will do that. So if my $20 contract gets assigned, I can lower my cost basis, $20 times 100 plus 17 times 100 divided by 2, and that will give me my average cost basis. So those are the 2 put contracts I'm looking at opening in week 6. Early in the week, Monday, Tuesday, depending on what the market does. Now, if the market just continues to increase, I don't have the opportunity to get in at these low strike prices. Maybe I don't, and I just ride week 6 with the 2 trades from the end of week 5, and then look into week 7 for what I want to do for week 7. Lastly, the MSTU. I own, again, we went over this, 200 shares of MSTU. And I was thinking, depending if I can get in at a good premium, right? If I can get a decent amount of premium, MSTU may need to go up a little bit for me to, for it to make sense for me to sell these call contracts. But I would open two contracts at the same strike price, $11.50, which is my average cost between my 200 shares. I would open 2 contracts or 200 shares for a strike price of $11.50. Again, this is a selling a call contract, not selling a put contract. Again, I'm trying to get rid of those 200 shares that I got assigned up in week 3. And I'd like to get in at that $11.50 strike price. Now, again, if MSTU goes up, I'm probably going to be able to open these 2 call contracts, and I probably won't be able to open this $6.50 contract. And when I say I will and I won't, right, it's just my own kind of gauge for how much premium I want to get. So if MSTU goes up in price, selling the call contract at a higher strike will give me more premium, but it'll give me less premium on the selling the put contract. Now, if MSTU goes down in price at the beginning of the week, I'll get less premium for opening the call contract, but I'll get more premium for opening the put contract. So most likely at the beginning of the week, I will either sell another put on MSTU or sell 2 call contracts on MSTU. So one of these may disappear, during my next update video as week 6 progresses. So those are the expired contracts from last week, the new contracts I've already got open from week 5, and then the future contracts I'm looking at in week 6. And then I'll add additional ones for week 7 once I see what happens midway through week 6, Wednesday, Thursday of next week, the 12th or the 13th of February. $759.27 for January, $130 in premium retained for the month of February. We've only had 1 full week in February. We're well on our way. The premiums for these 3 contracts that have not been open will add significantly to the February totals. $889.26 overall, and only utilizing $5,150 of my $10,889 account. So quite a bit of room to open these contracts as far as my total account balance goes, so I'm not worried about that. And I'm really right now just sticking to TSLL and MSTU. I like the price action on them. I like the movement. I'm more familiar with these than I am of some of the other funds that we've talked about. And so for right now, at least until I'm able to sell these 200 shares of MSTU that I own from week 3, until I'm able to sell those, I'll probably stick with MSTU. And then TSLL has really great premiums in my opinion right now, as it's still quite volatile. So that's the overall update. Week 5 done, rolling into week 6 for the $10,000 option account. Only really, let's call it 5 weeks into the year, rolling into week 6. We got the summary page over here. The growth account and the dividend account did drop last week because of some of the negative market news that came out. Highly recommend you check out my videos on those 2 accounts. And then the option account, the front runner, right? Based on the 3 strategies so far. I did feel comfortable raising the goal to $650 a month. Obviously, we're not going to do $760 a month every month like I did in January. There's going to be good months and there's going to be bad months. January was a good month. I'm not going to raise it to $750, but I am going to raise the goal for February to $650. So hopefully we can reach that. February is a little bit shorter of a month. Obviously, less days in February. Less trading days to open some of these contracts. So that's the video, that's the update. If you guys like the information, found it entertaining, found it informational or educational, throw me a like below. It really helps me out. Drop your comments. I'm always open to new ideas. I like hearing your thoughts on your own financial journey. Or if you have any questions, I respond to every comment on all of my videos. So drop me a comment down below and I'll be sure to respond to it. If you're tracking the progress or you're interested in tracking the progress throughout 2025, please subscribe to the channel. You'll be notified of new videos, new content, and it also helps my channel out. It helps me do some of this material and make these videos going forward. So as always, everyone, thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.